Obviously, you guys have a big week ahead. I think it sounds like starting Thursday, you're going to be in South Dakota for a competition. Mitch, I'll start with you first. What's this transition to MMA been like? I mean, I don't really know how a college wrestler goes from that to MMA. So just take me through that transition a little bit.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, I've lived down in Florida, coming up on 3 years now. For me, I finished Olympic trials in 2021. So I wrestled in the Olympic trials in 2021. I graduated 2020 from University of Minnesota. But then after the Olympic trials in 21, I moved down here in July to start training MMA. Took my first fight in December of 21. And then so now I'm 5-0, fighting this weekend. So yeah, it's just been training, just developing my skills in striking and jiu-jitsu and everything else. So yeah, it's been fun. It's similar to wrestling where your job is to train. So I'm used to that. It's just a little different, and I think that's the exciting part. Is it's still a competitive. It's got that competitive fire like wrestling did, and a lot of MMA has a lot to do. Like wrestling has a big part of it, but being able to come in every day and learn something new, and whether it's in the striking department or jiu-jitsu or whatever, just feel like you're growing a lot every day. That's kind of the exciting part. So yeah, I'm just excited to keep getting better and keep getting some wins.
Did you know right away you wanted to get into MMA after college, or how did that work?
No, I messed around with kind of striking a little bit, kind of in 2021. But then Logan Storley, who was a 4-time All-American for the Gophers, he asked me to come down and check out MMA down here in Florida, and so I flew down for 2 weeks and trained a little bit with him down here and fell in love with it. And then within a month or two, me and my fiance moved down here. So kind of I was, and I was kind of at a point where, Olympic trials were done, and I was kind of figuring out what if I was going to go tell this year's trials, which is, they just happened, or if I was going to go get a job or what I was going to do. And this was, I think, what I thought was the best thing for me to keep competing at a high level, but also make it kind of more of a career, because it's hard to make wrestling a career sometimes unless you're like the Olympic champ pulling in a couple 100,000. So yeah, so I just figured this is my best career where I can stay athletic, and I've always told myself if there's an opportunity to keep doing athletic things and make money doing it, and be able to support my family doing it, then I'm going to do it. And because I don't want to look back and when I'm 40 and regret not doing it. So yeah, I'm happy with the decision so far, but we'll see.
Stay out of the real world as long as you can, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Michael, how about yourself? What's it been like for you? I think you're one match into your career and you're still fairly fresh. So what's this transition been like for you?
It's been good. Obviously, it's a lot easier when you have friends and family down here already that made the transition, like Mitchell and Logan. Kind of guys that helped me along and made the process go a lot quicker for me, obviously. Yeah, it was fun. I got to make my debut with Storley, who we were in a fight camp together because since we were on the same card, which was kind of cool. And I actually ended up fighting after him. But so we got to go back to back that night. But he helped with the transition a lot. We worked out together, did the same training schedule, which helps. I actually live with him down here. And now I get to make my second fight with Mitchell, who we used to wrestle together at the Gopher Wrestling Room before he was an MMA fighter. Just growing up, watching each other wrestle, compete, and now I get to make my second fight on a card with another Gopher alum, and not even that, he's a brother to me. So, yeah, it's exciting, and obviously makes it a lot easier when you get to go into a fight with one of your boys and just good energy, good vibes going in, and you kind of feed off each other.
Kind of touching off Mitch's point a second ago, what's it like to have this avenue to pursue something athletic and still, try to make a living off it, knowing that wrestlers, I don't know a ton about wrestling and about MMA, but I do know that, it doesn't seem like there was a ton of opportunity after college, unless, like you said, you're going to the Olympics or something like that. So what's it like to have this avenue to do that?
It's exciting. And we're competitors, right? So as long as you still have that drive to compete, I mean, might as well go after something that gets you excited to wake up every morning and go to work every single day. And MMA is one of those things. I mean, you got to be a little crazy different to do. And that's, I think, how wrestlers are, right? We do a lot of things that people might find odd and kind of weird to do and kind of crazy, the workouts we do and things like that. And MMA is a lot like that, where it makes the transition easier for us on the mental side of things more than anything. Is we are the most mentally tough sport out there, in my opinion. And you can kind of get the edge over a lot of MMA guys that never had that background growing up. So that helps too. And like I said, we're just warriors, we're competitors, and stepping into an octagon, it's kind of like a wrestling match, but we're in there to beat each other up. It's kill or be killed in there. And you get more excited for it, I think.
Right. For you both, I think Mitch, you can start first. What was the moment like getting in the, I don't know if it's a ring, I can't remember what the cage, I don't know what it's called, but what was it like getting in there for the first time for a competitive match?
Yeah, it's I mean, before it's a little nerve-wracking, but I just try to keep telling myself, it's just like a wrestling match, and I've been on bigger stages. I mean, it Mike Michael and I, well, Michael's first fight was actually, it got delayed because of TV scheduling. He ended up fighting right after the main event, so everyone was packed in there, and so his was probably a little more nerve-wracking than mine, but mine was in Minnesota at Mystic Lake. A lot of family and friends there. It's different, but I just kept telling myself that I've fought at the World Championships before. I've fought at the NCAA championship, or wrestled, sorry, wrestled at the World Championships and the NCAA championships. So it's like I've been on big stages before with wrestling. Um, and I think that's, kind of what Michael was saying, like coming from wrestling, we've been doing one-on-one competition our whole life, versus some MMA guys might have been ex-football players or this or basketball or this or that, and they've had a team to around them, while they're competing. Obviously we have each other when we're training and leading up to the competition, but once you get in that cage, it's just you and the other guy. And that's similar to wrestling, right? When you walk out on the mat, it's just you and another guy. So I think that wrestling background really helps prepare you for that moment. So then it's not as nerve wracking as I think some people maybe make it out to be.
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, like you said, my first fight, dealing with the anxiety and stuff of going into one. Um, it being a competitor and wrestler growing up and wrestling on some of the biggest stages, helps with that. You learn how to control your nerves and use them as a motivator. Everyone's going to get nervous. If you don't get nervous, then you don't care, and you're probably not going to be at your best. Everybody at the highest level gets nervous no matter what they're doing, as long as they love the sport. Like even wrestlers, Kyle Dake said it, like he always gets nervous, and he's the best in our country, in the world. Um, so I was able to like help manage that stuff throughout my wrestling career. And I honestly, the coaches were like saying how they were impressed how I handled things, because I mean, I got there at 6 o'clock and I didn't end up fighting until midnight ish, because it just kept getting pushed back because of the TV time. And we've dealt with that wrestling growing up our entire lives. We dealt with bouts being pushed back, or maybe the program froze up that they're working with and you don't wrestle for another couple hours after you warmed up a couple times. Things like that we've dealt with our entire lives. And yeah, it just helps us propel to this next level and kind of learn how to manage that anxiety going in.
What again for you both, and whoever wants to start first can start. But obviously, with South Dakota this week, you're going to be moving up from Florida for I don't know how many days. I don't know what your schedule's like, but just what's it going to be like to compete there? And does that allow for like a lot of family and friends to come watch and see you guys that you're doing your craft?
Yeah, well, Michael's first fight was at the same venue this last August, and then I fought there uh once or twice before. I think twice. So yeah, we've both been to this venue. It's only 3.5 hours, 3 hours from Minneapolis. So
Right.
I think we'll both, and he's from Iowa, so we'll both have a ton of family and friends there. And I think just having the support of knowing your family and friends are there watching you, and it gives you another bit of motivation to go out there and compete hard. And you don't want to, all you can do really in a fight is give 100% effort and have a great attitude and go in there ready to fight, and the results come from that. So having family and friends there definitely help you go there and compete as hard as you can and leave everything inside of the cage, because you don't want to see your family and friends. You don't want to give up in front of your family and friends. So
Right.
there's no give up in me and Michael, and I know we're going to go compete hard this weekend.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Even like with wrestling, you relate everything back to wrestling, how we're out there competing for our brothers, our family, our friends, and it's no different with this. It's nice being close to home where people can drive. It's affordable for everyone. And not only that, you got two well-known Midwest kids like us that are going into this fight together, and we're on the main card. He's the main event. And we're going to bring in a lot of people from Iowa, Minnesota, South Dakota. Not only that, but people that come in, they become fans of us because of the way we compete. So that's what makes it exciting. It's a fun arena, fun atmosphere, and fighting in the Pentagon's everything's on top and it gets loud in there. So yeah, you just feed off that atmosphere.
For you both, how did wrestling for the Gophers and just throughout your high school careers prepare you for moments like this? I mean, it seems like you've talked about the transition and how it works, how it's not really that much different than wrestling. Obviously, there's different moves and different punches and stuff, but just how did wrestling at the highest level, it sounds like throughout most of your careers, prepare you for this?
Yeah, I think I mean, just like I was saying earlier, like in wrestling, you if you compete at the highest level, you find yourself in some big moments, and you learn a lot, whether you rise to the occasion or don't. In those big moments, you learn a lot from it. And I think we both wrestled for probably 20 years and had a lot of those type of big moments. And so you learn a lot from those, and you just take them into your fighting career. And whether it's the state championships at, for me, it was XL Energy Center, or for Michael, I'm not sure where it was at in Iowa, but um, just those big moments where it's you and another guy, and then you got thousands of people in the stands watching you. And I've had moments like my 8th grade year, I was in the state finals, and I was like crying before I went out there because I was so nervous, and I feel like I didn't compete as well as I could have. But just being in that moment and experiencing that helped me, later on, throughout my high school career. When I got into the state finals, and when I was in high school, it wasn't as big of a deal to me because I'd been there. So I think it's the same thing with fighting going into the cage. We've been in these big moments before and had a lot of eyes watching us, and so we're able to rise to the occasion. And like Michael said, we're nervous always. It's good to have nerves. It's that fight or flight response. And it's just kind of what you do with it, right? If you fight or you flee. So I think we've developed through wrestling that fight response in those nervous and those big moments. So yeah, I think that helps us in the cage a ton.
Yeah, like you said, the big matches and stuff you go throughout your life is what prepares you for this. And it just sets you up for success in the future. And having the mindset that we do and the mentality is what's going to set us apart from anybody that we compete against. And the toughest fight I think that we have is with ourselves before going in and just leading up to it, everything else. And you're the only one that can hold yourself back, right? So going in there, we're out there to get the job done. It's a business. You don't get paid by the second or by the minute in this sport. So we're going in there, getting finishes and getting out of there and relax, spend time with our family. And that's the main end goal.
If my math is right, you guys are a combined 6-0. So does that mean there's a little bit of a target on your back going into these fights, or are we a little early on that yet?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think just our backgrounds coming from, being Division I All-American wrestlers coming into the sport, I think there's always a target on your back. It's hard for us sometimes just to get fights because people look at your resume and they don't want to fight you because of your wrestling background. But yeah, I mean, definitely a target on our backs, but we don't really think about that. We're like I said, me and Michael are good at just focusing on us and we just focus on what we can do and what we can control and how we go in there and how we compete. And the rest will take care of itself. So if they want to put a target on our back, we don't care because we're going to go and compete the same way regardless.
Yeah, I'm going into a fight. I think you have a target on your back no matter what, if you're undefeated or not, because they're putting their life on the line, getting into a ring with us too. So honestly, like, I don't know who I heard it from, but it relates to me a lot. Like, they have the audacity to get into a ring with us. We're going to take that as a little offense going in, like they think they can beat us in a fight is a little disrespectful towards us. So that's just like, I grow like this, not a hate towards somebody, but kind of like that's what gets me excited and I'm ready to compete and I'm going to go out there and put on a show. And not only that, I'm going to make sure he knows that he messed up signing a contract and wanting to get into a ring with us because it's just a little bit disrespectful towards us when they think that they're confident in beating us and they know our backgrounds, what we've done at the highest level, NCAA Division I wrestling. And not only that, Mitch is 5-0, I'm 1-0. So I don't know. It's a little chip on our shoulder going in, I think.
I love that point. I love talking to athletes who have a chip on their shoulder like that. It's fun to listen to. I'll try to wrap up with this. Sort of what's the end game here with this career? I mean, I don't know how far it can take you, but I mean, obviously you want it to be a prolonged career. You don't want to have one or two matches and be done. But where does MMA go from here for you guys?
Yeah. So the way, I mean, for people that don't really know, and I think, we didn't, you don't really know coming into the sport either. We don't, at least, but you always kind of start on the regional scene to build up your record. It's kind of similar to boxing. Like you got to build up your record to get in those bigger fights, into the bigger promotions. So, right now LFA, which LFA is like the biggest, it's the biggest regional promotion in the country. They go around the whole country. Most regional promotions are just, like I said, regional, like stay in South Florida or they're only in Milwaukee or wherever, they don't, their events are always in the same spot. Where LFA travels like every weekend or every other, or they're always, in Vegas, in Minnesota, in Sioux Falls, in Texas. They go to Brazil. But you use the regional scene to build up your record. And then from there, you try to get to one of the bigger promotions, whether it's the UFC, PFL, who just bought Bellator. So you try to get to one of the bigger promotions where now you can start making some real money and some money that can change your whole family's life.
For me, I would say is like, we're competitors, right? So we always want to be at the best. Whatever we're going in, we're all the way in. We're 100% in. So like I got the opportunity to go back and wrestle and it put my MMA career on a pause, but I was 100% in on wrestling. Now that I'm back, 100% in on MMA. We're trying to go out there, dominate every single fight we can. And it's about building yourself, building your name, building your career, and cementing a legacy, in the sport where we believe that we're good enough to do that. And you've seen some of the guys at the highest level dominate. Like Khabib Nurmagomedov went undefeated. He went in there and he smashed guys, and that's what I believe that we can do. Just keep learning every day down here at Killcliff FC. We train with the best of the best, and they're multiple UFC champs, world champs, Bellator champs, and just grow from there and not look too far ahead. But obviously we want to be world champs in whatever promotion we choose, and that's the end goal. And from there, you defend your belt, you start creating a legacy for your name and your family, and I don't know, sky's the limit.
I lied. I have one more. I probably should have asked earlier, but what does the process entail of getting into it? Does somebody from LFA reach out to you guys? Do you guys reach out to somebody over there? How does that whole process start?
No, I mean, I guess it's different for everyone, but for us, I guess, because we kind of had a name coming out of wrestling, and I knew Logan Storley, and Logan, or Michael does too, but Logan reached out to me and asked if I wanted to fight, and then he hooked me up with his management. And usually you get like a manager, or go with a management company, and then they help book you fights, with different, because they're the ones that, know all the people, and yeah, so those are the ones that kind of get. Otherwise, I mean, you can start, like, there's guys I know from wrestling back in the day that fight in Minnesota that you can get. There's little local shows. I think Ignite Fights is one, in Minnesota. You can try to get on the LFA when they come to Mystic Lake. But there's a ton of like little shows. Like I said, LFA is kind of like the biggest regional show, which it's not really just a regional show. It's kind of the whole country. But there's like legit, like just regional, where it's like Ignite Fights is just like kind of Minnesota. And you can get on those, and it's still professional fights, and you can build your record there too. And then eventually I'm sure someone will reach out to you from MM or LFA, or some management company or something will want to sign you to get you to the bigger fights.
Sure. Okay. So do you guys both fight Thursday night then, or do you know the times yet?
It's Friday night. We weigh in on Thursday morning, and then we fight Friday night.
Okay.
I think Mike's when's the main card? 9?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock Central.
Okay. And I guess lastly, if there's anything I'm missing or anything you guys want to add, I think I have what I need. But if there's anything I'm missing, feel free to say anything or add
I think
anything.
we're all good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate Sage reaching out to me for this. This is a hell of a story, and it's you never really know where things are going to go after wrestling. So it's kind of cool to see you guys doing this. And Mitch, I know you're from St. Michael because I lived there just after getting married. I lived there for 7 years. I know the wrestling community there. So
nice.
So yeah, but
awesome.
Well, good luck to you guys later this week, and I'll send when I have this up, I'll send Sage the link to it.
Sweet,
awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your patience getting this set up.
Mitch and Mike, thanks guys. Jeff.